And so it's recording this instead of us holding it here. You want to open up the participant house, right now there's no one there. This one's a Spanish. Look at one. Did you get my yesterday?
I did get your note.
Okay, great.
I got some answers for you. So
That's fabulous.
Mr. Pop. Oh, you
Oh, you do, do you?
That might get me. It's probably not for me to decide.
I think you would think everybody here came to just as her.
Oh, shit.
Sounds like my dog. Sounds like my dog. You just talking to the screen. Who's on there? But that's it. And since we don't have agenda at the moment, well, it's right there on the Word document that's open. Click it. Share. File. No, it's on my phone. It's started. I'm always wanting my desktop. I don't think I put on the. They always want to see everything as a PDF, as they'll be able to open it and. Where did you just say that? Right at the desktop on this computer. Oh. Desktop.
And Richard called the planning commissioner and spoke with her about that.
So, hey, Mike, there's something that should probably be on your radar. In case.
And now they'll be able to go between them.
Anything.
And whoever's on the other screen.
Let's see that.
Okay, so what do you mean go between them? They can easily tweet it. So oh, okay. Okay. So that's about it. Once you're ready, you just exit the screen and then we'll figure everything. Okay. So, and then come get me. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Amanda. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I'll have a time. You know that. Want my extension? Yes, please. And if you're dialing from yourself here, I'm going to get you to You're welcome.
Well, because there's.
Do you want to sit through the meeting and do notes, or do you want to go back?
I have a lot to do.
There are two different kinds of lights.
I thought we'd
go back.
Okay.
We'll get started, and
I
then
have everything here. I'm just going to leave everything here.
we're going to turn around and we'll see if we have enough agendas. We might have to listen more, but I think we'll
I
be
actually
good.
copied more. There's 25 of each.
But then the other license is basically
Really need to call the office. I'll be back over here in about 2 minutes.
Everything in the office again is.
that one doesn't matter to you, but I just thought I'd put it on your radar because you're probably going to have to come up with some type of manufacturing. So you could find us things that come through your office.
Your pen. I'm a.
We could, but I don't think that'll change building.
I'm going to read this here, and that way I don't impact it.
Before this, it was.
Is that whale?
It sounds like a whale.
Yeah.
See, I told you things are getting better around here. Like, my moment. We all do. Come on, right? I'm going to wait another couple minutes. I am. I'm not certain, right? They should hear by now if they're going to.
I know that next one, like,
in, well, you saw her earlier. She was in, I don't know if she's still there. Speaking of, we're literally talking about you as you walk down the hall. I'm sorry? There should be on the table back there. It's very simple. We're going to talk about it and build one if needed. That's a whole other spot. Pretty slim menu. Oh, afternoon. Boy, it's been a long one, huh? Oh, wait.
I think it went on automatically on here.
Trey leaving us? Okay. Started, folks. We know we have this thing kind of a skeleton bunch, right? So that I hate to wait too long because we'll run out of time, but should we give it a few more minutes, you think? But on this door, no.
Yeah, there is.
I'm sure if they're in the executive office. A couple more minutes, literally.
Day comment period, which ends on Saturday.
Okay, folks, let's get started. You ready? All right. I'm Kelly Overton. I am the Cannabis Program Manager, and maybe you've caught on already. We're doing a little bit of shift to where the work will be, at least some of them, facilitated by me. That'll be a little clumsy probably today, but we we get in return is kind of a more of a focus and expedite going forward. So when we look at the agenda today, you will see I've left a big other there. That is, if anything, you know, you need to, and the thing we need to address is this phone. If we can we go around? I know most of you, but let's go around the room, and you guys know most of you also, and say hello. How about start with Hannah?
Hi. I'm Jennifer. Hi.
I missed you. I'm so sorry. Scott, I missed your name. Petra, of course. Okay.
This is Anna Perna on the phone, and I'm getting an incredible amount
So
of
if you
feedback.
look at our agenda,
Can you hear me?
again, it's pretty thin.
Hello, can you hear
I've
me?
got the frequently asked questions, list review.
Hello?
What else do we need to cover today?
Hello,
How do we
can you
need
hear
to
me?
do it?
Hello, the phone.
If you could also add to that whether there's other updates on the website.
Okay. Okay. Website updates. Anything else?
I was interested in taken by a formal network, et cetera, for resolutions or amendments, et cetera. But I know we had some administrative changes, and I don't know if they have been collected all in one place, but I'd like them to be.
Okay. So maybe I should have clarified. When I'm asking other, what are projects or processes that are in movement already I may not have included, that I have not included? Anything else we cover in this group beyond the frequently asked question?
Well, the only other thing that I brought up last time, which I haven't heard an update on, was labeling of new permit as cannabis specific, as opposed to labeling individual
All right. Okay. Yes.
Can address it?
Please.
I questioned that as well, and Nash would have addressed that. Nash Gonzalez, the director, but he is overwhelmed with work right now. And what he told me about that, because it could be perceived as a security issue, labeling cannabis. He spoke with county council about that. And the only way that the county has right now of tracking is through track system that they will use as cannabis. And brought council into the discussion and continuing the discussion on it can be changed, how to be changed.
Thanks for that update, but I don't know if you want to come back to this issue or should we just keep going?
Probably come back to it. I mean, that's revisit. Okay.
I just meant to bring it up as an agenda.
Gotcha. Okay. That's good, though. We got an answer.
Well, I qualified.
Okay. We will revisit it then with others. I think you might have got all the info we're going to have today, then, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Okay. All right. So frequently asked questions. Let's review. Do we have the frequently asked questions list updated?
Sarah was going to take care of that last meeting. Sarah,
I'm trying to do that now also.
Computer is the test.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I thought, wow, have I been doing it wrong? Yeah, we didn't, I don't think we got any revised, copies after our last meeting, and we also, didn't get any advance.
I understand you didn't get the agenda. That's why I have this in front of me. I guess I am confused because I was expecting the FAQ list review to come from us. Right, no, I understand that part.
Went through it all last meeting.
Okay.
We added a few points, we took some out, clarified it, Sarah was clarifying the answers.
Mhm.
We went along. We said that Sarah was staff was gonna put it all together and put
Okay. All right, so then when I checked with you yesterday,
I assume you guys would have held your hand up.
okay, all right, we're, that's on us then, okay.
I created the draft of it, and I took all the answers, that was enough, you guys.
Okay, understand. Do you happen to have access to that you sent to Sarah, that email right now? I think that's going to be our...
She was making notes from the revision. We never had a working document in the meeting. Well, we had the only.
The one that we looked at last, that I wasn't here, but looked at last time that had Scott, right.
But then we went through.
Right, I understand. Okay. So what I'm trying to do right now is since we... Right. So what I'm going to do right now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a tool, hopefully the one he has sent to Sarah, that we can use, and then this is the type of thing in our transition that I will fix and will not happen again. All right?
The easiest place to look at it might be, if you're talking about the original one that was sent, is it was attached to material items to that.
Right. So I guess what I'm hoping happens, what Scott can do right now is, he says he's had these. If you send it to me, yeah. Okay. But are these your notes from after the last meeting? They're not. Okay. Okay. I understand. I guess what I'm saying is I don't believe I'm probably going to be able to walk over there and get them now. So what I'm trying to do is find a way for us to proceed. So I'm sorry. This is beyond.
Maybe what we could do to salvage this, does anybody, are there items that we know we were waiting for
with the document we had last time? There were notes taken on it, and we had obviously proceeded, and there were some things that we were waiting for. I could try to, I can go find that document with my notes, and I think that will give us a pretty good start.
Well, just to not waste anybody's time,
Yeah.
I was thinking that if we were at the point where we're waiting for staff to have to
Yeah.
look into and comment on,
Got it.
and they haven't had that opportunity, then it's silly for us, if we're still waiting. I mean,
So we're going to make an assumption then that we are still waiting. Okay? So that there was a disconnect, and that work didn't get done. If it did get done, I'm unaware of it.
and can we clarify which staff needs to, besides obviously you getting it from Sarah and integrating whatever was done last meeting, there were specific questions being formed out.
Right.
And we can follow up.
I will fix, once I get this in with me, we'll fix it.
And then it will come back to the working group.
Yes, it will, and we will, go ahead. I think he's muted. I think we turned down a bit because of this. Ron? Hey, Ron, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'm here.
Okay. It may not
Can
be
you hear me?
Who is it?
Anna Perna.
I can hear you. Likely one of you were getting a lot of kind of feedback chatter. If you guys could explore where you have your phone in relation to how you're hearing it. And can,
Oh, better.
somebody, It all went away. Thank you. You can't. Okay. So I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to go to my office and give this, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys? All right.
We're gonna go, make you go get your food board. She's not a puppy, that's saying, you know, it's a term of love. 110 pounds.
And very strong and advocates.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's fine.
Okay, and that's you know, appreciate how, they found the big only not planning issue.
Oh, maybe that's why. Yeah.
Bringing these issues to the board.
But they really paid attention.
Language here that says,
I they do, but again, no, they've resolved to recommend the passage of the amendment, but then they agree to
which was triggering.
No, it depends on
Right.
Study has nothing to do with zoning or planning. Required by law.
If the guy gets around, has some employees, and it's up to the restaurant, have to travel and all of that, they have to transport it. That's another member of the public. Well, they have access to the restroom. But they don't public access, they have public access to the restroom. You can limit it, by language, to employees.
Oh, yeah, the biggest one. Well, they on their own.
Public access is on the
Church. They were told them. Yeah. What about?
I think it's fine.
They
I got it to the county council just so that they, well, once you have it's our employees and have no public access.
Maybe I'm wrong, but and but usually have a lot of that, you know, so it's very specific.
I don't want to get to.
Like a little be hard to get there. But anyway, what else today? They're, they definitely want to
have a separate,
they want to allow for.
People who have distribution licenses and whatnot, have like a separate line area.
Otherwise.
The only way you can have it in a building that has cannabis.
To look at the issue of not being able to achieve.
Then I've been told, but I'm like, cannabis activity. I feel like I'm getting these answers that yeah, well, that's what a lot of people are doing. That's what it is. Just sort of 10 by 10.
I'm working on it. Hi. I have a copy. Hi, guys. If I can regroup it. Again, I'm very sorry for this. Here's what I have. I have a copy took at the meeting, okay, and I can go down, read them for us based on the FAQs, and we can jump in with what you still need information on, what we're okay with, and we will decide where to go. I will then get you the information that we need.
And I would make more sense to, if Sarah took good notes, rather than us going through it all of the time. Does it make more sense to see with Sarah when she could maybe just email us all, and then if it's included, you know, we could do just kind of like a check-in like that, rather than having to go through it all at once. I don't know.
It's up to the group. Do we want to kind of backtrack with what we did, and then I ensure you get this information? Or do we want to call this unfortunately scheduled meeting and get back to you by email? So this will be for the group to decide.
I think we're here and we can share valuable information, so I'm really pleased. I'd like to go forward.
Okay. So I am simply going to read down the list with the answers I have in the notes. And you as a group, please tell me what needs clarification, and I will get you that clarification. Okay? Questions for building. How much is a 1,000 square foot hoop house permit? It is $275. That is the answer to that.
I think also we're adding under ag exempt.
Exempt structure.
Right.
Okay.
And, no, it's a hoop house, but under an ag exempt permit.
Okay. 2, can I dry cannabis in a shipping container? The answer is yes. If you do not have employees, containers can be permitted under ag exempt. Note, for ag exempt, you cannot have any mechanical installations attached to the structure. Electrical installations are limited to 100 amps. Portable is okay. I'm just going to finish the answer and then we can revisit. B, if you have employees or members of the public present, the shipping container must be permitted as a commercial building. Any modifications such as fans, vent doors, etc., will require plans by a California licensed architect or engineer. Also, the shipping container will have to be accessible to persons with disabilities.
If you with employees and ADA access to structures,
California state law, it has not changed.
and is there some other discussion at the county level on that?
The state law does?
No, as far as the county capacity most flexible.
Well, we're as flexible as we possibly can be, even more so than any other jurisdiction. So within the confines of the law, we've gone as far as we possibly can.
Let me tell you that they have no flexibility. They do so, but they personally use that. In a lot of cases, but it's true. It's one of the few rules of federal civil rights law. And if you do your job as a building official, an inspector, or a government agency, it's called non-feasance. And they have no wiggle room.
I met with, last week with building officials from across the state of California, and we compared those on cannabis accessibility, and they know the jurisdictions are far more restricted.
That just as it relates to cannabis?
Specifically to cannabis.
Specifically around, so not really a playing field, there's an be fair and equal.
Well, because our home rule state, each jurisdiction has a final authority within the confines of the law.
Right.
The way I learned it was if you're a sole proprietor with no employees, public access, then accessibility is not required. But I'm looked at the same way in other jurisdictions where they say that full accessibility is required in all commercial.
So access is, as long as it's okay, as long as it's not cannabis related.
This was in the specific cannabis workshop, part of chief accessibility on other building officials. I would point out that Corinne asked about being flexible, and I feel like stretch to the limit. Yeah.
I have a question about the modifications to cargo containers. What somebody just added an extra door on the back end, would that be considered a major modification that then they would need that engineer calculation for? Because I did one in this predicament, and they're like, we already cut the door, we didn't know, we're not using it for venting, it was just
Are
like.
they going to the ag exempt policy?
Well, they want to, but I don't know.
Show that on your plan.
Would you guys be flexible with that?
Most likely, yeah.
Okay.
Now, for ag exempt, the answer would be yes, and you'd be okay. But for a commercial facility that required access needs, the answer would be no.
Okay, so they could still use, so that's something that we might want to clarify too in our Q&A.
But what if they cut a window, or, there's so many variables
The
to,
door could
we
be,
want to be careful about going down that road of altering a shipping container that wasn't designed to have it be altered and affect the structural integrity of that structure.
and what if somebody did make an alteration to their cargo container prior to understanding this new rule and want to put it back to the way it was? Maybe they board up whatever they cut out, so that they could be back into the ag exempt. Would the county be willing to look at that?
If they put it on plan, how they did that, yeah, we will definitely look at it.
So if you read the conditions that might put in the ag exempt ordinance policy, it says anything over 1,000 square feet that doesn't meet conventional construction requires engineering.
Mm-hmm.
The largest cargo container is 8 by 40, that's 320 square feet. If you alter it, it's exempt. And less than 1,000 square feet, it doesn't need engineering. That threshold for engineering is over 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
That's a strict reading of those regulations.
Do you agree? That's huge.
No, I don't agree with that, because what if you open up the whole side of that cargo container? Does everybody agree here that that's not structurally affecting the structural integrity? Because people are going to do that. They open up the whole side and have windows and doors. So that's why I say it's a case-by-case basis. Put it on your plan, and when we review it, we will look at it.
So, David Evans Abbott,
Showing them that.
frame building up to 1,000 square feet. It's unconventional and it's not even engineering. So it could be just this. why don't we donate structural suspect as well?
It could, the reason for plan check review is to determine the structural integrity of that building. So if we could, this is so dangerous what you're proposing in this 900 square foot open building with no shear strength, please provide some cross bracing. Please provide some shear strength so it can fall down. So
Generally, a window or a door,
generally,
probably okay.
gonna be okay.
More questions on this, and then we're going to keep focused and keep moving. So.
So apartment is an opening of 4 feet. Yes. And you want to do the opening. What would it take to make it handicap accessible? Is it you put a handle that a handicap person can open the door? Because it is 40 wide, it's wide enough.
Yeah, so you need the proper door, the full strength. There's a 15-pound full strength. There's a lever. There's a landing. I think that's like slope to the 3/4 inch per foot. So there are things we look at. But the shipping doors that come with it, they're so heavy, they exceed the 15 pounds of full strength on that.
If you put an electric opener,
I've seen one, but that's exactly why they put those power assisted openings. That's what.
Okay. Right here, please.
Kelly, if you could, have a little bit more light on, best practice for shipping containers is, ventilation, fan, fires, like that. We understand no attached mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about those various appliances on an extension cord?
It's going to go right back to.
So you can have all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing you want on a regular building permit or in container, okay? But specific to the ag exempt policy, it specifically states no mechanical. And you're limited to 100 amps in electrical and only hose bits and a cleanup sink for plumbing. So if you want more than that, just get a regular building permit.
they have these portable home AC units that are also dehydrators and heating condensers, right? And they require ventilation. When City Hall is taken out, because that would be acceptable, that wouldn't really affect the structural integrity.
Is there is not that mechanical equipment with
The mechanical equipment is attached, it's just inductive, and that's removable.
Next one, it would take some sort of movement of the limit height. In other words, this is a static hole. That's it. So it's, in terms of, Oxford Dictionary definitions, that's not mechanical.
Well, mechanical is attached to that unit, right?
No.
A cord.
It's just an air flow.
If you have some sort of ducting connecting.
The only ducting is the exhaust temporarily, yes.
Why wouldn't you just
It's
get
not,
regular?
I think what they're saying is that the ducting isn't attached to the portable unit, it's just there to get the air out, that's all.
Exhaust fan,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
An exhaust fan would be fine.
Okay, so it's a dryer then.
Yeah,
It's a dryer then, the self-contained air conditioning.
And you're not mounting it to the
No.
structure where it falls.
No, that's the ducting, which is there, so it doesn't, vent
It's a hot air from the air
I'm going to move us on. Okay.
Well, I understand you want to move on, but we've got represent, hundreds of people who are asking us, and we don't, I don't really have clarification yet. Where did that extension work?
If it doesn't exceed
That's what I asked.
Yeah.
Okay?
if you're allowed to do that.
But you're allowed to have like an electrical box in your up to one gas. Yes. See that? That's what I understand. An electrical circuit breaker box.
I'm talking about shipping containers, not hoop houses.
Right, no, I agree, yeah, okay.
So you can have a power outlet you're talking about in your shipping container?
It would be GFI protected.
If it's ag.
Electrical and
Let's say you can.
I think
limited to 100.
that people are getting confused between the types of ag exempt structures. And you gotta go back and remember that there's a difference between who does ag exempt versus other ag exempt structures. And all other ag exempt structures are allowed to get a separate electrical permit. So that's been the case.
There are many types of structures within the ag exempt policy, is what Hannah is saying.
Ultimately, if someone does have a minor modification that they did to their cargo container, submit the drawing, indicate what that modification was, then building and planning will review it, and potentially still let you move forward under ag exempt depending on what that modification was.
That's correct.
From what you're saying.
You are correct.
And do you guys have an idea of the cost for the cargo container ag exempt permit? If it was the maximum, the 8 by, what is it, 120 square feet, what that permit costs? And do you know what it's costing somebody for a hoop house?
Yeah, 75 for the hoop house. The cargo container, I don't know, have all the fees memorized. There's just hundreds and hundreds of fees.
But it's much less than the regular permit for a cargo container. Okay. Because I think that was maybe about $400, I think, normal, the regular permit.
Without me calculating the fees, I don't want to.
Okay. You think it's half as much?
We can find out for you.
Okay.
You can find out.
Okay.
So the question is, how long is an agricultural exempt permit valid for? I think we're good on this. Once the exempt permit is issued, you have 1 year to complete construction and call for a final inspection. After the building permit is finalized, I believe that should say, the ag exempt status of the building does not expire unless it's changed to a non-ag exempt use. Are we going to answer given? Okay. The next one, do pre-manufactured structures such as tough sheds, engineered plans qualify for an F1 occupancy structure to be allowed for use as a processing facility? The information I have is possibly the permit for application for the prefab build must be accompanied with plans prepared by a California licensed architect or engineer, and the plans state that the proposed structure is classified as an F1 occupancy. Note that if there are employees that will be using the pre-manufactured structure, it must be accessible to persons with disabilities.
Kelly, there was only one thing that we altered, and that was in the very first sentence between accompanied with, and instead of plans, it would be current.
Current set of plans?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Can I ask a little more clarity on that? Because I'm drawing plans for somebody who has very nice structure that they then added onto.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting. It has
Okay.
So what exactly? So he would have to have an engineer.
What?
You're going to see this keep pointing to Michael.
So this is a pre-manufactured structure that was not designed for the purpose that you are intending. So it's a commercial structure that needs to be designed by an architect or engineer.
Even if it's ag exempt?
No, exactly.
That's what I'm wondering, but can't we get an ag exempt?
It's impossible, yeah. It needs those parameters.
But that wasn't this question.
Oh,
This
yeah.
question was a different question.
Yeah, that was a different one.
Okay. The next question is, and I believe I already see the edit, can a portable structure, such as a garage tent, qualify as an ag-exempt structure for drying of cannabis? And we have scratched portable out. Is that correct? Anyone else have that edit?
I just has a kind of portable structure, such
Okay.
as garage tent qualify as a non-temporary
As a,
ag exempt.
as a non-temporary.
The answer was that it's not temporary, it's permanent. But a structure like that could be. So we have a couple proposals for specific yurts from Oregon, those really nice yurt structures to be used to dry cannabis under the ag exempt. And it's really yes.
Yes, everybody gives them and we made us another one.
So, we look at how they're secured to the ground. And again, if they fit the parameters of the ag exempt, I don't see why not.
And are you basing all of this cost of these ag exempt permits on the size and the complexity?
Square footage.
Okay.
Except for the hoop houses.
That's separate.
we've all do that, because those important in nature.
But it also could be said of these room spaces as well, like the go, either tent, you know, I mean, that's something.
It almost is like a hoop house.
It is. We actually use the frame of that we have as our hoop house, and then just the regular plastic over it. And we stake it in the ground with a nice, what is it?
Rebar.
Yeah, rebar.
And like I built a deck, like a plywood deck, but then I screwed that structure to the deck. Mine was the one that had to go down in my valley like 2 years ago.
With those looking at maybe with a smaller fee because they are not complex, they're like the hoop house.
Possible, you know, we have sheet full of these different fees.
But you're gonna bet it.
Per feet, so it would be like,
It costs $200, they only cost $200 and you could literally put them together in an hour and a half, 2 hours, and take them apart in that amount of time.
Yeah.
And they're used for cars to go inside of.
Right.
I'm just glad that they're trying to look at each individual application.
Oh, yeah, we're not gonna overcharge somebody for a cardboard.
Okay.
A fabric cardboard.
Okay, good.
The question is, can a Class K structure be used for drying or processing of cannabis if the person has no employees? The answer I have is no. Occupancy is the key, commercial versus ag exempt. Class K ordinance is for rural residential dwellings and structure. Wow, that's a word I don't know.
Associated.
Such as garages and storage sheds. You cannot grow, trim, or dry medicinal or recreational cannabis that is for sale in a Class K structure. You, as the state allows, are growing only 6 plants for personal use. You can use a Class K structure.
And also just plants, just their plants. But I thought that there was a no unless, and this relates, and I hate to complicate it, but it relates back to the an accessory structure of a residence that is, I mean, an example of specific.
Occupation or high use.
Exactly, and so.
Or a micro-business.
For example, if somebody has a cultivation permit and they have Class K garage, that Class K garage can be used to dry or even potentially be eligible for a different kind of ag exempt or other kind of structure under the cottage industry or the home occupation ordinance. And so there's a generally no Class K structures cannot be, but if it is approved use under home occupation or cottage industry, and with the appropriate permit.
I believe you're really close. And my personal opinion is on a home occupation, these are planning and cottage industries are planning issues, but it's my understanding, I don't see why you couldn't use Class K in home occupation. I think they pretty much go together. Cottage industries, not, because now we're getting to things bigger. That could be a planning issue.
But for purposes of building, though, it's for purposes of building, because it's the Class K ordinance, which is building ordinance.
Yes.
It's a reasonable use to have an accessory building, so as it qualifies under whatever other ordinances, meaning it's a permissible use.
Yes.
I think that this answer has to be modified a bit.
There's the question that works here. In industry and home occupied, I would have employees. Also off if you have an employee.
Well, I think that's a little bit different than that. You're allowed to have employees, it's just that then you have to have the right kind of building permit.
Okay. Well, but
But the problem that I have with that is that if you were having a microbusiness or even cultivation as a home occupation for a cottage industry or a microbusiness, which I believe should be a separate category, but we'll get into that later, I suppose, in planning. This hasn't changed. The primary use is still residential. So we have employees under home occupation or cottage industry. The primary use is still residential, not commercial. So why do you use a Class K? Because it's a residential permit. Primary use is residential.
I'm saying you could use a Class K, but what I'm saying, if you don't have accessibility requirements as per state law, you are denying somebody with disabilities to work inside that home.
For your customers.
So, yeah, for customers. So if they can't get in to work, the accessibility laws were set up as civil rights legislature.
Mm-hmm.
We can't deny people their civil rights. So that's why accessibility is so important. So we have a home or cottage industry with employees. We need features.
But there are exceptions within the federal law that allow for those sorts of reasonable access as opposed to strictly adherence to the Title III or whatever it is, grants and that reasonable, if it's under 15 employees, I believe the way it reads is that you have to have reasonable access for your employees.
Remember, you're quoting Title I of federal law right now,
Okay.
and that's towards employers to provide reasonable access with more than 15 employees. So we have Title II that pertains to government, Title III that pertains to commercial and public access. So we have different titles that up to Title V. So, but we won't.
So if it's commercial and public access, and residential primary use, and there's public access, and less than 15 employees?
15 employees doesn't fit. That's a Title III building right there. And Chapter 11B of state law requires access.
Sorry, but with respect to this specific question, it envisions no employees. And so that's why I was requesting a modification of the answer, because we're talking about no employees.
No customers.
And there is an opportunity for Class K, but I understand that it needs to be written in the correct manner so that you don't give the impression that, oh yeah, you're a Class K, you're fine. No, you still have to have the appropriate building permit for the use and the appropriate use permit if necessary or meet those definitions. But anyway, so we need somebody to rewrite this answer.
Okay.
And for personal clarity, so here's the scenario. I have a Class K house. I have a small little storage shed that's also Class K. I want to dry cannabis in it. I have employees. It's an accessory structure. I do that. I'm just trying to apply what we're just talking about to this scenario.
If you had a home occupation.
If you have what?
A home occupation.
Home occupation.
Where does that piece fit into this as a cultivator?
So here, we're in the building requirements working group,
Yeah.
but what the hard thing is that often building requirements really, the text of them sometimes relate to the planning end, and so the zoning and the uses that are allowable. And so that's what's difficult is we're talking about when it is that a particular kind of building permit, in this case under the Class K ordinance, is allowable, and that is in part depending on what kind of planning categories you qualify for. So in this case, home occupation and cottage industry. So that's why you're getting confused. It's the intersection of two things, but strictly from the building permit end of things, yes, the answer to your question is yes, you may get an ag exempt permit for your shed used as a drying facility.
Was originally Class K.
That was originally Class K because, yes.
Thank you, Hannah.
Is that correct?
Well, and I think,
Correct.
Thank you.
I think this is what we want to make
So keep it down.
for people like me or someone else to be a little clear understanding.
Just to further clarify, does that mean that if you get a cultivation permit, that you automatically qualify as an occupation?
Maybe, but that's a planning question asked in the next working group meeting for Mayor Lynn, but I would say the more important issue is are structures have the right kind of building permit. And in this instance, a Class K would not prevent us from getting an ag exempt building permit, nor would it necessarily prevent commercial building permit from being issued, but that's where you would then want to look over at the planning rules to see if you're allowed to have a commercial building in that zone using for those uses. Does that make sense?
Just
Okay.
I know it is, I'll accept responsibility. I know it's my fault we're late, but I'm going to keep pushing us through. And if you guys need to have side conversations, why don't you come on out in the hall or something if you need to take a few moments. I'm seeing the next few questions we're pretty good on. Is there a difference between a hoop house and a greenhouse? Are we pretty good on that?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of building permits do I need for a greenhouse? Are we good on that?
Got an ag exempt. You aren't 100% clear on it because it says two houses on this here.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not clear on the difference.
You can't get ag exempt.
Let me ask the question. So you're not clear on the question. Is there a difference between a hoop house and a greenhouse? Are you good on that one?
I am clear on it,
Okay.
but do greenhouses need to be commercial? Because
Okay.
that's where
Okay, so the question, I'm sticking to this so we can include the answers in this. The question you want clarification with is, what kind of building permits do I need for a greenhouse? Is that correct? The answer we have right now is if you do not have any employees, a greenhouse can be permitted under ag exempt. No, if the greenhouse is over... Hold a moment, please. Please let me finish, guys. This is what we're doing is we're preparing this document. So I'm trying to keep our conversation to this, so later on I can in the discussion what we're discussing. Note that if the greenhouse is over 1,000 square feet in area, you will be required to have plans prepared by a California licensed architect or engineer. If your employees or members of the public present, you cannot go ag exempt and will have to submit California Building Code compliant plans prepared by a California licensed architect or engineer regardless of the size of the greenhouse. That's the answer we have now.
And is electricity allowed in ag exempt?
I guess all up to 100 amps.
But then the hoop house is not allowed.
The reason for that is hoop houses are all plastic.
No, I get it. I totally understand it. It's just interesting because I've drawn up some hoop houses for people who thought they were hoop houses, and I go talk to someone, a planner, and they're like, well, that's not a hoop house, that's a greenhouse. And they're out to get that ag exempt permit for it, but they're still thinking that they're not allowed to have electricity.
I have a question.
Hold on, please.
Actually, they're allowed to have electricity attached to the structure.
If it's a structure.
Yeah, one of the questions that probably needs clarification is, what is a greenhouse in a box considered? In other words, it would be metal frame that come with a greenhouse. What is that classified?
In a box with a metal frame that, one more time.
Yes, what is that classified as?
Like,
Ron, does it have hard walls or soft walls?
Walls.
everybody's pondering, Ron. There's pondering-looking faces here. Okay.
Seems like it could be an ag-exempt greenhouse.
Ron, if you conform the parameters in 9, 10, and 11 of the ag exempt policy under hoop houses, then it's a hoop house. If it's too big or too tall and it doesn't, it'd be likely that we could permit as an ag exempt greenhouse.
A lot of these 10 by 20s that are 7 by 20s that are 7 to 10 feet tall. So those would be hoops. Okay.
Okay.
So, Mike, given what you just said, would there not, if you have a greenhouse, an automatic greenhouse, but it has soft walls, so it's not a regular greenhouse, and it's not a hoop house, you can ag exempt permit, let's say, if permittable under ag exempt, would you not be able to get the 100 amp electrical service for it if it has soft walls? Is that the determining factor, the soft walls?
You would not allow to connect any utilities to that structure.
Right.
Because of the danger of it falling or impacting that structure.
So is the difference between when you can get a separate electrical up to 100 amp service, the difference between soft walls and hard walls, is that the key difference? Because houses are not allowed to have it, but greenhouses, even if they're ag exempt, or structures that are ag exempt have. And so is that real defining line the solid wall versus non-solid wall, or what?
No, what it is actually what the structure, how it's constructed, will support those appliances on that. I want to connect.
So a metal frame thing, even if it had soft walls, potentially could get an electrical permit.
It could. So we would possibly allow 100 amps to it, with nothing connected to the structure.
Right.
So you want to run your drip irrigation, or you want to do your an electric fan in there on a separate post or something.
So there's like cars with a big metal post.
Yeah.
Right now. Is that considered a hoop house as well?
If it conforms with these parameters in here, yes, that's a hoop house. The hoop houses have metal.
So that could have an underground electrical
To a pedestal?
To a pedestal
Yes.
inside of any hoop house. And you can plug in fans to it.
With a weatherproof, LIGF,
If it was a metal frame, could you attach a fan for it, like shop lights to the top?
not in the ag exempt policy. In the other ones, you can.
What's the difference between the hoop house and a small greenhouse?
Well,
There's a definition in it.
yeah, there is. It typically says that in our cannabis policy, I believe, Oregon says that greenhouses are primarily rigid translucent materials. Yeah, translucent. That's fine. What I'm saying, anytime you want to attach things to your structure, such like that, an architect or engineer take a look at that. And I'll agree, we've gone out and seen things that are really dangerous. If they have fan units about to drop, get somebody that hurts.
But if you have a metal frame, it's not going to drop.
Are they attached? They're many ways to attach, and that's what an architect or engineer is.
Thank you.
Hold on, Ron. I'm sorry, people are speaking.
And attaching is very, you can say there's ways on those structures to make it seamless.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, with the architect or engineer's approval, yes.
Okay. All right, I'm going to just give us a, Ron, you have a question or a comment about the FAQ?
You have to add to, instead of rigid materials, instead of PC, add metal is acceptable also, somewhere in that.
Metal. Okay. This is on us, on me, but we have about a half hour left, and we are maybe a third of the way through. So,
Is that just in reference to the hoop house definition, Ron?
Yes.
Yes.
good.
This is where it says typically PVC pipe.
Good. Thank you. Okay. What kind of permits do I need for a hoop house? That's the next question. Are we good on that at this point?
There were a couple of changes that we made last time.
Okay.
We suggested that the 20 is an example that it was 20-foot maximum width, and that we basically match number 7 is what my notes say, and then also that when it referred to employees or members of the public, that we say in the structure.
In the structure.
But basically, there was a concern that this didn't really exactly match the number 7, I think, on the ag exempt policy.
Yes, that says each hoop house shall not exceed the following size limitations: 12 feet maximum height, 20 feet maximum width, maximum 1,000 square feet total footprint.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm gonna let you go ahead. Thank you.
Related to this, I believe the policy right now is that 1,000 square feet of hoop house is the maximum allowed.
That's right, if you have the proper acreage.
Okay, a lot of people who were in the program before that was like 12, 13, 14,000 feet. Their justification for that was that they're not using them all at once because of rotating, and then as it relates to the next working group, where we haven't quite talked about if vegetative space will be included. Right now, it is included in 10,000 as far as the county is concerned, but it isn't as far as the state. So we're discussing making vegetative space not included 10,000, in which people have mentioned this. I've actually seen this 3 times this week, which is why I'm bringing it up. It's, well, if we only get to 10,000, people who already got approved for more, are they going to continue with the kind of get colored in a little bit more, and then people even now are like, well, it is really useful if you're going to be moving to a space for flowering. You have a vegetative space that's like that, so you don't go through any transplant shock. So it might be, people would like it if they're able to get up to 12,000. Again, they just have, I was trying to look like, you just put some greenhouses in too. Stop calling it up for something else. So
there you go. That's the answer. We're talking about the ag exempt policy, and that's not allowed to have employees. So you're asking if they can put 14 1,000 square foot hoop houses with no employees?
You can have things automatically go over them.
Wow.
You have automatic
You know,
I told him I mentioned it. I just had about 3 people with it this week. I told them all, and none of them liked you saying, so guys, that's how it's all you. I don't think they're going to allow you to have it. I'm with you.
Can I get some clarity as far as walkways go and whether or not they're included? That seems like.
Let's go ahead and.
We're trying to get, I understand everyone wants info, but we're trying to actually get our working group info together to share instead of getting individual questions asked. Okay. This next question, I have a note that says merge with earlier question. It makes sense. When must I have a commercial building permit for a greenhouse? So we're back to previous. The next question is, can I use a hoop house year-round? The answer is yes. The next question, why trim cannabis? Does it matter if I have employees or members of the public present?
And we would just add within the structure.
With the structure, okay. Site at one occupancy.
I have a question about this.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. If someone has an LLC business and one of the business owners live on the property and the other business owners don't live on the property, I wanted clarification on the employees issue with multiple owners of a business, but they don't all own the property. Would they be allowed to work the hoop houses or whatever structures, drying rooms, or not?
It's okay. Hannah, that's a very specific kind of. Go ahead, Hannah. Sorry.
Owners of the company are not employees.
Okay. All right. Used for cannabis treated differently than other buildings must have a building permit. No.
Well, except that this is where I'm going to raise once again the labeling of the cannabis building permits. This is what is really pissing me off, that we say no, but they are being treated differently.
Okay.
So I'm not saying we should change the answer. I'm just saying this raises the issue that I wanted to talk about.
Okay. Question, are there other kinds of structures that an ag-exempt building can be obtained for? Yes. Looks with that. The next question, are there differences between the allowable features in hoop house with an ag-exempt building permit versus a different kind of structure that I might be able to get an ag-exempt permit for? The ag-exempt policy, there are several limits on hoop houses, including maximum area of 1,000 square feet, Electrical can be attached to the structure. Mechanical installations are prohibited in all types of ag-exempt structures. That answer is correct. Okay. Question, am I allowed to have a portable toilet serve as the facilities for my cannabis business? See also environmental health. Draft coming from environmental health.
I have a question. I think I said yes.
Yes. Okay. And I think.
Put yes in there.
And are we? You want to get in, Gad?
Well, we have the code changed, and yes, portable toilets are allowed.
There you go.
Can you use, you have to have a portable toilet on, let's say, a piece of rangeland that doesn't even have a residence, and they have the public restroom that's 5 minutes down the road, and bathroom facility. I'm
Sorry, as employees, you have to.
No, I'm saying somebody owns a piece of rangeland, there's no stairs, residential structures, so they don't have septic or anything like that. Do they need to still have a portable toilet? Or is that, is there a requirement for that?
Rancher, sheep ranchers, and vineyard workers.
Yeah.
Well, they're rated under the health and safety code, so, you know, they use portable on wheels.
You know, rancher, sheep ranchers also has couch.
Okay, so it's not required.
So Trey and Mike, specifically a portable toilet would have service agreements with it, some package, which can be very costly, prohibitively costly. Are we looking at compostable toilets?
We have to push through our LAMP first, through our board, and then regional water board. So we're not stuck using the water board's predetermined criteria that they've developed in their plan, because it's very restrictive and it's not very conducive to the soil types we have in our county. Once we have that approved, then we're working on changing it, modifying it. We've already started talking with the water board. Humboldt County has prepared something that they're taking to their board very soon. I'm not quite sure their timeline, but we're going to be looking at what they're doing. And there's another county I don't know if it could be Tuolumne County that I think might have something in place. We know to see what others are doing. But we're definitely going to be working on it.
Thank you. And will composting toilets still be required to have a 10-acre minimum parcel size, and where that possibly start?
I don't
talking
know
about that.
Yeah,
And then you still have to have a septic.
Yeah, you know, and I'm not environmental health land use septic system expert, but want to kind of shy away from any crop size restrictions like that. I don't think that it wasn't to restrict it to, you know, you had a large parcel to be able to do that.
And also means that if the compost toilet would still be required to have a septic system installed, that has always sort of seemed to be the case. Is that also going to stand with your new?
That's the current case, and it's going to depend on our discussions with the regional water board. What they've told us, just preliminarily, is that they would have a use permit and entration into the county's non-standard, you know, standard system program. So I don't have numbers to crunch to say, well, is that going to be a cost savings versus just putting in a small septic system.
And also a person going through the whole use permit process.
Right.
Because I'm in that predicament. I've been approved for a septic system, but I'm going to construct it, but I really am just wanting to use my compost toilet. I'm going to spend nearly $10,000, never use that system, but just to fulfill the requirement.
Pick up here and possibly trees.
Well, but that would also be an investment into the property too. The septic system is there, and it will, maintain some value too.
Do you have a timeline yet of when this will probably be finalized within the state and your
By the end of the year.
Yeah, we said by the end of the year, we hope to have an agreed upon program with the regional water board buys in on, they're okay with it. And they also said, kind of tongue in cheek, that we have to have a safe hand protocol for the disposal of the, maintenance and disposal of the material with the compost. So they kind of said that with a tone that might be a little difficult to do and gain their approval. But I think, that there's going to be hopefully enough Northern California counties that are interested in this that will sort of compel the water board to invest a little bit more time working on it.
It's really sophisticated toilets too now, like you can see it real good, but the whole composting setup is happening within the unit.
Yeah.
So alleviate that,
Yeah.
the way to go out.
If anything, it's better for the environment, it's saving water. I mean, those porta potties are just, seeing the hand washing, none of you are aware, but the hand washing things don't even require potable water. It's
Even in rural places with bears like knocking down,
All right.
It is a concern.
Trey, thank you.
If the state had, if they are guidelines and such, it would be a slam to just adopt what they have for our own. Because they need to be on board.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to keep going. I think we're pretty good on the next few questions. Where do I find the requirements for ag-exempt building permits to understand whether my structure would qualify for such a permit? Ag-exempt requirements, Mendocino County Planning and Building website under forms and handouts. Next question. Where do I find the requirements for commercially permitted structures? We answer there, construction, commercial, are found on the California Building Code, California Plumbing Code, Electrical Code, Mechanical Code, Fire Code, Green Building Standards Code, and the California Energy Commission Title 24 Energy Efficiency Regulation.
I make a suggestion that we either modify that or add a little precursor that's a little bit more user-friendly to say, check with your planning department, your helpful planning department staff.
Yes.
Or get the handouts from.
Or check with your design professional, because as a
Ooh.
commercial
Right.
facility, you're having a design
There you
professional.
go. Because
Okay.
I think that while it's good to say all the codes that, it doesn't really help people.
Because people want us to design their building for them, but it's really your design professional who you need to consult.
Yeah.
In commercial structures.
It's too much for county staff members to tell you everything, single thing you need, and then get to the questions at the counter for a commercial building.
This pretty handled. When I need When do I need an ADA portable or permanent toilet and hand washing facilities versus a non-ADA compliant portable or permanent facility? Must be ADA, correct? All right. That if I have unpermitted structures on my property that are not being used in my cannabis business, to get them all permitted in order to go forward with my cannabis-related structures.
I think that we needed to update, there was no answer originally, but the truth is that people need to be prepared that all their buildings will have to become permitted. However, it will not prevent them from getting their completion. That at the worst case scenario, with specific buildings, they will be given a complaint.
Right.
But this was asking about the non-cannabis buildings,
okay.
And they need to know that potentially, yes, you're going to have to bring all buildings into compliance, but that you held up in your cultivation.
The non-cannabis buildings, you get 3 years once the permit is approved, and the cannabis buildings would be 1 year to complete it. Is that correct?
permits, that is correct.
The rest of the... Ed?
Mine on this, what Henry raised up so that people would not read it and not know that there's something happened.
You're breaking up. It's not you. It's the phone. Try it one more time.
Yeah, it would just to be clear that yes, it won't hold your cannabis permit up, but you will need to go through the permitting process. Otherwise, you're leading people down the road that might understand what they've opened.
Yep. That's clear. The rest of this sheet, the one I'm looking at, was just answered by Trey. So I'm flipping to what have been identified as questions for planning, and I don't know how much clarity we will get on these. Okay. What is the difference between an ag permit to commercially cultivate and an administrative permit or use permit that is needed in addition to the ag permit to commercially cultivate cannabis, or in addition to the need for building permit? So we basically need to get a list of what permits are needed.
I'd be happy to, I wouldn't be happy, but I will. We're trying to get these finalized and ways. I will make track and believe I can come up with a looking answer to this that can then be run by experience and mine, so that you make sure that it's written properly, because otherwise we're going to be waiting forever.
And we will take you up on that offer, Hannah. Thank you. What is a compliance plan? Ag Department Exhibit A. Okay, we can provide the answer with examples. All right. The next question I have is actually all crossed out.
Yeah, it's good to ask it on the other one.
All right. Now, how does home occupation and cottage industry fit into things? We've kind of addressed this a few times. Yes, Anna needs input from PBS. All right.
And this is actually a pretty good definition, because it does say it does. I think it's a good answer.
Oh, the rest of it that's on there?
The answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, I'm sorry, it includes answer. It's actually, it's just in the first, right? So here's suggested answer, these inputs from PBS. Home occupation, cottage industry are use types, not to be confused with cottage level commercial cannabis permits that might any parcel workers or activity, blah, blah, blah. The requirements as to whether an activity qualifies as a home occupation or cottage industry and what specific rules are concerning each contained in sections, blah, blah, blah. Regardless of those use types, you would still need to be sure that your building was properly permitted for the use desired. In other words, if you wanted to have a season, if it was limited in the number allowed and the home occupation or cottage industry rules, then the building would have to comply with all requirements in any structure that allows employees to comply. So that's I had written that a long time ago as a suggesting, but never got any feedback from the staff who were supposed to look at to see if that was okay with it.
And this
Maybe you could follow up.
I will.
Thank you.
Okay. Questions for Ag Department. Can you bring product from a cultivation site on a different parcel to an ag-exempt dry shed if to follow state law? Well, I mean,
I would say you would need a separate processing permit in order to do that.
From the state.
From both the county and the state, because processing is ancillary to your cultivation for your cultivation on site. But if you want to do processing for others, even locally, you need a separate permit, and then you also need the state license. You need a local license.
I would imagine though there's a lot of people who have like 3 or 4 adjoining parcels.
Not allowed to.
Not even if they've got the ag barn on one of them that's right next to it, you're not.
If it's under different permits, cultivation permits, and they're separate cultivation permits, then the only way, even if it's owned by the same person,
you
is
just
to
walk
get a processing license for yourself for different adjoining parcels.
Your drying isn't the same process. Drying, you're allowed to do it.
Included in processing is drying for others.
But if yourself on a part, you own two parcels, maybe you can just combine those on the one map.
They won't allow you to do it that way anyway, so I'm just letting you know, as a practical matter, you would need to get both a local and a state processing license.
I'm going to take this FAQ list, I'm going to update it. I'm going to send it to everyone and ask for feedback. This is going to happen early to mid next week, probably Tuesday after the Board of Supervisors meeting. You guys will get this. It will come back. I will put it together. I will send it back to you again to see that I've done it or we're all in agreement. We then discuss what we're still missing, what we need to do, and then when is our plan to take it to the Board of Supervisors. Makes sense. So it's on me. I'm putting it together now. I owe you guys that.
Kelly, you have to go to the board.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, good.
The department head sign off.
Okay.
As well as the department.
Have to report. Yeah, we're going to report. Website updates. You had mentioned that early today, with a long time ago.
Did we come up with a plan of how we're doing this last part of when is it going to go after you prepare it and you
Get back to you guys. You send me more edits.
the process and what's the let's get a cutoff date?
Yeah.
Because we want to get this out to people because we'll need it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if you can tell us a somewhat realistic time frame of when you'll get it to us, then we should build our response time back to you within a short time frame after that. But if we can't plan for that, we can't do it.
Let's plan that I can get this to you, and again, this is coming to you with you guys then ready to make suggestions. It's not coming to you perfect. Next Wednesday, all right? It's Wednesday. You can tell me how many days, how many you want, and back. That will be, then this will be when it gets a little more complicated. I will have all your input. I'll really hammer it to where we think we have specifics. And that'll be a few days.
The 11th.
You have to meet by Monday the 16th, or is that crazy?
That's okay because it's tax weekend.
Everybody's their taxes already. Everybody is getting money back. It's done. All right. Throw it out at me, guys. You I can't pick this one for you because you're.
The 18th.
Okay. That seems fine. Okay. All right. So I get you the 11th. Everything's back the 18th. Put it all together, and hope I'd be able to do that by the next Monday, the 23rd.
But it's really limited to the issues that we've already discussed.
Yes.
Now, new issues.
Yeah. Don't send all the things and then say, well, we got to include this, this, and this didn't take. Like, I can't.
And you're sending it to us, do you simultaneously send it to the department heads?
Yeah.
There's not going to be made changes?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I'll include the work. Yeah.
Instead of us, back to you.
Yeah, no.
And the department heads, back to you.
Well, the send it to you on the 11th, what's going to happen is I'm going to get some clarity from department heads, and I'm going to get clarity from staff, these things, and get it down in there.
Can we set the goal that maybe a week after that it goes live?
Sure.
The 25th, April 25th, is that realistic, or do you feel that there needs to be?
I think we can aim for that with every intention of thinking we can do it. If something crazy happens and it's a few days later or the next Monday or something.
And so, Kelly, will you be responsible for dealing with the technical part of that in terms of the website for building and planning and ag department and everybody else?
I can access, well, I'm in the process, as you know, of getting this all in one place. So I can specifically myself access ag and Cannabis website and go in and do stuff.
What about building and planning?
I have to find that out. Yeah. I can't right now go in and change their website.
Anyway, but you'll coordinate getting it live at every appropriate place.
Yes.
Thank you. Also, like, adding it on the new website and.
Oh, when all that comes, yes, I like that stuff. When it's all.
Thank you. Can this be a time when we might consolidate any of these other issues that have gone before that may not be in the case, but we've already addressed them?
Well, if my sense would say yes. My fear with saying that is then it, again, becomes all of this other information that it morphs, and so I can't commit to that. What I'd like to do is we've made these frequently asked questions, and we've got to where we're, getting to where we have the answers and we're ready to post those. Separately, I'm working on updating the website. It's all cannabis in one place. This, that, and the other, and updating that information. But I don't want to right now commit to taking on more, what we figured out before that I'm now going to add this. No.
Another 2 weeks.
So we're working on how I hate the term messaging, we're cleaning up all the information. But every needs an okay, to be very honest with you. When something, if it's been related to something in the ordinance, it's county council, or it's this, that, and the other, so unfortunately it isn't, but I can just go in and pop it on the website.
The consolidation of who costs.
Everything my goal is to where you go on our website and every bit of information you need, to know nothing about cannabis cultivation, to if you're well into the process, you easily access, that it's clear and accessible. So that's the goal, is it's all there, this answers to your questions here. And working on everything, yes. Yes.
So, the two others that I had under the agenda.
Okay.
One was about the building permits, still are marked cannabis, and I want to respond, and I appreciate Michael Font's update, and I have something to say about that. And the second issue on that is a question regarding whether or not the building and planning website was updated with respect to the suggestion to separate out cargo container policies. The cargo container policy for personal storage is different than cargo container for ag exempt or commercial, and just separate.
I don't know. We'll have to look on the website. It's my answer. I don't know.
I haven't seen it there.
Okay.
But, so with respect to the issue of cannabis still being marked, and I really do appreciate the update from that perspective, but I've been bringing up this issue for a gazillion months. I totally appreciate that everybody is overworked and overwhelmed. I feel the same way. Yeah. It has to be moved along. It is a security issue for sure, having building permits labeled cannabis, but also an equal protection under the law issue. Okay. And as we noticed in recently asked questions where we're saying, they're not treated any differently. That's just not true. And there is no legal basis, regardless of whether it helps the internal process administratively, there is no legal basis for marking building permits. Again, I'm not talking about use permits, building permits with cannabis, and I am dispersely objecting to it for the umpteenth million months in a row.
Okay. So here's I hear you. I hear you, which means I hear you. I'm going to find out if it's possible. You're saying to move along. I'm going to find out if it's something that people are considering moving along, or feels like you've been given an answer. So I'm going to find out first. And no, yeah. So in other words, what I'm trying to figure out, when something's solved, I often experience as I try to break down these things that are solved, that people feel like the answer is question. They know it still needed to move on. I'm asking you, have you been told, well, this is how it is and why? Or have you been told we're exploring changing it?
The last working group asked me that he would talk to county council. Okay. And this was might help to try and garner the information that he knew, which was the same thing that they're talking about it.
Okay, so I'll find out. So that answered my question. So it is somewhere in a process. Good.
We appreciate you being here and the way you're consolidating, moving things along. All of that stuff came up with, there appears to be a presumption of criminality still with, and by continuing to identify cannabis facilities on a mutually acceptable, transparent place, it kind of feels someone in the county wants to perpetuate criminality. I mean, that's what's going to happen. So, you know, that's sort of the elephant in the room. We all have to pretend that we're all being treated equally, and we're not. And to perpetuate this sort of tenor of criminality is very, very distressing, and it is absolutely preventing the option we want.
Well, I'm going to speak to Nash, see where this is, and county council, and something like this, what I find out is there a specific reason first? So on the idea that someone wants it this way, first thing I kind of find out is, was it this way? Why was it put, why was it designed this way? And
Easier.
Okay.
You all are overworked.
Okay.
It's a bad idea.
Okay. So, well, no, I'm saying that might be the reason. Okay. It might not be that it's just easier. It might be that, things connect to the next thing to the next thing.
There is no legal precedent for it.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to get the information instead of discuss it because you don't let me finish. Okay. All right. Next steps then. We have them as far as what I'm doing, coming back to you, this, that, and the other. Why don't we then hold off on a future meeting date? Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. All right.
So you got it to the 18th, right? We're supposed to get stuff back to you, and then is there another thing that we mentioned after that?
The 25th was mentioned.
And what's happening on the 25th?
Okay, hold on, I'm getting my calendar.
It's a aim to go live with the frequently asked questions,
Okay.
if it's possible, on the site, on the website, if it's doable.
So this group usually meets once a month, is that correct? And I'm assuming it's on Thursday afternoons.
That's correct.
Okay, so then let's go into May, right? The first Thursday in May is May 3rd. You want to schedule a meeting for 1 to 2:30? Okay.
And I think that the two agenda items that we know right away is bringing back any information regarding this building permits treated differently or labeled with cannabis, and then perhaps Corinne's suggestion of if we can pull together the list, and this might be helpful to report out to the board anyway, the list of things that have been accomplished and changed within this arena building. I think that it makes sense. We've done a lot, and staff has done a lot, and it makes sense if we could have a list of accomplishments, and then that's the final report to the board.
Okay. All right. All right.
Also, your progress on the consolidation. Not seeing you, I know you're very busy.
Yeah, that's not the work doing, that work is separate than this working group, okay? So, I'm not going to put on the agenda to report. Okay, all right.
Well, anxiously awaiting.
Sorry?
Well, anxiously awaiting. We get questions all the time.
I know, guys, I gotta, and I know it's not about me. It literally, I get up at about 4:15 in the morning, and so we're doing it. I hear you, I really do. When we do one thing, like you can do one thing at a time. So if everybody says you got to do this one, guess what we do? We don't do that one. And the people saying you got to do that one say, so it's literally, there has to be some way to kind of proactively steer and plan your work, or it's just chaos. Okay. I see county council keeps peeking in the door. I'm guessing it's for me. I want to just say thank you to Hannah, thank you to all of you, thank you to Mike and Trey. Guys, thank you so much for your patience today. I really appreciate it. I do. I do.